Good evening. Jihad has come to America again. Shamsuddin Jabbar, good, solid, traditional American name, drove a pickup truck into a crowd of people in New Orleans. 10 people are dead, 35 others are injured. The motive could not be clearer. There was an ISIS flag attached to his vehicle and explosive devices found in and around his car. But it gets worse, I'm afraid.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
In fact, in the last few minutes, just before I came on air, they think now that maybe there were 2 other men and a woman who might have planted some explosive devices around New Orleans as well. It appears, doesn't it, that there is a jihadi terror network on the run. Look, wake up, everybody. ISIS and Al-Qaeda are back in a big way. There was an attack on a Taylor Swift concert that was thwarted. There were threats to Champions League matches. All of the security services are warning us about it. There was the Olympics as well, wasn't there? They've cancelled a major football match in New Orleans. They clearly feel as though something else is coming. And I hate to say this, but I do think it's important to be honest with each other, isn't it? I think clearly something is coming our way too, isn't it? Let's get our thoughts from my panel. This evening we are, of course, joined by the wonderful Alice Grant. We've got Emma Wolfe and we've got Samuel Sweet. Can I just say a very, very happy new year to all of you. I do thank you very much for joining us this evening. Emma, I'll start with you. Look, this is it's very concerning stuff. It's a breaking, developing story, but you know, it appears pretty cut and dry. ISIS has attacked America.
The man was driving a Jeep with an ISIS flag on it. I don't know why we can't just be honest about this and assess the threat and, you know, put the precautions in place that we need to, rather than trying to be politically correct about this or not offend people, or I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, it's not our fault there was an ISIS flag on the back of that truck, right? Like, we didn't do that, you know, he did. So.
Not at all, but it's interesting, actually, because I remember watching the NBC coverage. They focused a lot about the immediate safety precautions, as you mentioned. So, for example, bollards and, like, things like that. And I'm like, OK, so that's one part of it. The actual physical safety of our towns and our local areas is one part. Another part is the actual threat of this radicalism that's growing unchecked.
Yeah.
And that is definitely, perhaps, the more important thing to be focusing on.
Yeah, indeed. Samuel, welcome to the sofa, mate.
Thank you.
Look, what do you make of this? Because, you know, there appeared to me, anyway, to be a bit of a rush to do everything to not jump to conclusions here, despite the ISIS flag on the back of... There's a sign, for me anyway, that we're always being lied to a little bit about this stuff. Do you think?
I don't know about lied to. I think it's probably the intentions of the police and the authorities to try and calm the situation. Obviously, people are deeply concerned in New Orleans and in towns and cities in America and around the world because, you know, as we've seen over many years, terrorist attacks have happened. They're all abhorrent, and there is often networks that lead to these things, whether it be, you know, radical jihad terror, whether it be far-right terrorism, whether it be neo-Nazis. We've seen it over many decades. And I think, as I said, I think there needs to be, from the authorities' perspective, a way to calm those tensions initially and not allow people to sort of run away with a narrative.
Want to interject there, do you?
Interesting. I agree, and I think we should talk about those solutions. That's the point. The point is it's time to have those discussions about how do we actually tackle this massive problem. It was only a few days ago we had a similar terror attack in Germany targeting a Christmas market. And as you said in your monologue, perhaps we could be next if we're not careful. So we have to look to the root of the issue in this case, and that definitely is extremist ideology, as you were right to say, across all spectrums, growing to a point which is unmanageable.
I will just,
what is being done by the police about this?
I'll come to you. I just want to show... Okay, look, I think something a bit weird is going on, right? Because this Tesla Cybertruck has blown up outside Trump's hotel in Vegas, right? So, look, Tesla, obviously Elon Musk, Trump. So I think you put 2 and 2 together and it looks a bit like something might be going on here. But we do have some footage here, I think, of that moment of explosion.
Copy.
Yeah, look, there are, and I will stress this, unconfirmed reports at the moment that, and I think, to be honest, you could see that there really, which is that there were kind of fireworks-style mortars in that. You can see them kind of going off secondary there. There you go. Emma, I do think something a bit weird's going on here, isn't it?
I do think something a bit weird's going on. Of course, and I agree with the others, we can't rush to conclusions, and it's no good the security services or the police or anyone releasing information when it's not confirmed and when it's just kind of supposition. But also, I just want to say, New Orleans is a beautiful, beautiful city. For loads of us have been there. I'm sure lots of viewers have been there. What a thing to happen in the early hours of New Year's Day at such a special time, just like the Christmas market. People are out to celebrate, to enjoy themselves. The people of New Orleans are probably some of the best people in the world. The area where this happened, Bourbon Street, is in the French Quarter, which is full of like live music and jazz and bars and amazing booze and everything. And I just think we should take a moment to think about New Orleans and what people are going through there. 35 people injured, probably. Well,
actually, I'm sorry to do this. I'm just getting it in my ear at the moment. Apparently, according to ABC News, the death toll has just risen to 15, so up from 10. There were 35 others
at this time of year.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely shocking. That is now 15 more people killed in the West by what appears to be radical Islamism. But what do we do about this? I know that's a big question. But
yeah, that's the thing. Well, we know, firstly, that a lot of the radicalisation starts on a community level, and it can be a few leading figures in a community which enjoy stirring up this hatred towards people of the Christian tradition, and that is a lot of us here in the West. So I think that the police really ought to start looking at them as, approaching this as they would do any other form of extremism. So we need to see these congregations properly being investigated and tackled. And I think also the internet is another large place where this is happening. And we hear a lot about people who are tweeting politically incorrect things being targeted by the police. What about on the other side? We know there's a lot of horrible extremism on the internet from Islamist extremists. So
yeah, not another far right attack.
No, I mean certainly the signs sort of indicate that it does look like somebody is acting on behalf of ISIS. But I think it's very important as well to obviously state that these people do not represent the Islam faith or Muslims as a wider population. In fact, you'll be some of the first people to condemn these atrocities and actually reach out to the community. You think back in 2017, there was actually when there was a terrorist attack in Finsbury Park on a mosque.
Yes, yeah.
The way that the community came together there.
That's true. What is it? Look, you are absolutely right, by the way, but what is quite funny is that the Muslim Council of Britain decided to do a report into this show, and, the channel, actually, and they would currently class this, what we're talking about here now, as me talking about Muslims, right, as opposed to what we're doing, which is about radical Islamist terrorism. So it's interesting. You're right to say, let's not bracket the term. We don't do that, but it's quite funny that the Muslim Council of Britain decided to do that when they did a report. But anyway, it's my own personal grievance, of course. Trump is saying, this is what happens when you let foreigners in, but actually this guy was... He was born in Texas, apparently.
Served in the US military,
Served in the US military. We're going to come on in the second hour, Emma, to talk about something else. There are some rumours going around at the moment, or reports, I should say, going around at the moment, that actually he was known to authorities, and that he might have been known to be a bit radical whilst he was in the military. You mentioned about these bollards not being erected because they're under construction. Yeah, is this another failure again, do you think, of security services, maybe?
Why do we keep seeing these individuals who have multiple times been flagged up by the authorities and are known to be a threat? And then it just, some things fall through the net, or they're not being pursued properly, or, they're not. Why are they not being stopped?
It's always a giveaway when there's a mugshot, isn't it? Because it means that they've been nicked for something. Like when it goes, all right, who is this?
Person known to the police.
Well, what have they been nicked for? Well, there you go, right? So it's like, well, there was something there, wasn't there? Look, we are going to be talking about this quite a lot later on in the show because, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that incident as well outside the Trump Hotel in Vegas. I will stress again, and I'm genuinely not trying to, scare everyone into oblivion and all of this stuff. But we have been continually warned over the course of the last few months by MI5, by MI6, that something is going on when it comes to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. We are seeing that now, I think, aren't we? Really, we're seeing it in America. Big question marks over what we saw at that German Christmas market the other week. Vienna, of course, that was thwarted. So just take care out there, everyone, I think. But good start, though. Thank you very much, everybody.